yours, guys.
Right foot this time, Martin Odegaard.
Zinchenko from Ketchies in it's four. Martinelli tiptoeing in. Predatory, perfect. There is a gorgeous arrogance about Arsenal now.
It really is. They are enjoying every second of this.
Hello and welcome to Not Another Arsenal Podcast, aka the Hector Bellerin of Arsenal Podcast. My name is Mike Hers, your host, and today, boys, we're going to talk about the Chelsea and the Brentford game, doubling up as we have been all season since our wretched schedule only allows us to podcast once a week, unfortunately. First and foremost, as always, the introductions. Chris, welcome back, Chris.
Oh God, I was hoping you were going to start with me. I'm rusty. I'm on an emotional high and low. You know, if there were no sports in the world, I'd be really flatlined. So my blood pressure is at like 180, and I'm trying to come down so I can actually then have it pump back up to 180 as I talk about Chelsea. Because you guys know I love a good hate watch of Chelsea, and boy, did it deliver this week. Maybe not against us, but certainly against Leeds. We'll talk about all that, of course. But yeah, I'm doing all right. Work is insane as always. I actually had to go downtown twice. I actually got to go downtown tomorrow, which means I'm up late tonight with this, and I got to get up early to go downtown and do the whole shitty commute as I do. But hey, this is worth it. Spending time with you guys, talking about Arsenal, and having a little fun along the way with the live chat, which is already very, very active. I love to see it.
Love it.
Yeah, mostly because I just chimed in and said Heat is an overrated movie, just based on the reaction.
It's absolutely nothing, Mike.
It means nothing to me. Kelly, welcome back, Kelly. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm fresh off of a Kelly versus Mike Hers derby today, win for the good guys in powder blue. That's it. That's a Serie A reference. We got to sneak that into the first 150 seconds of the podcast, obviously, because Lazio don't score many goals or win many games. So I got to stick that in there. But no, this is great. It's been a lot of Twitter nonsense, as we know. Anything involving Chelsea now very much animates a certain corner of the world that is very vocal and very silly online, which has been fun to spar with and poke at, given the two results in tandem. Yeah, and I mean, top of the table, 5 points. Everybody else looking silly midweek besides us. Like I'm cool. This is going okay.
According to all the Twitter accounts, City was within 2 points of us. Nervous face. We've been seeing that a lot lately. I got to tell you, social media is just fucking stinks lately.
Yeah,
the amount of Chelsea garbage that I've been like on my timeline for the last 72 hours or so, it's just been absolutely overwhelming. But it got humbled down very quick.
but Mike,
yes,
I have to say, Elon Musk letting everybody know where each account is from has been absolutely great. It's been very insightful. Let me just put it that way. I'm not going to say anything more. I'm just going to say it's been very insightful.
It's been very insightful. Yeah. They're not beating the accusations anytime
soon. No, they're
absolutely not. Let's talk about the Chelsea game, guys. More than anything, let's talk about the tactics that Chelsea employed. The initial
tactics?
Okay. The you know how we get accused of dark arts all the time, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like they wanted to do that, but it was extremely poorly executed. They were just being absolute shitheads. Like, if you rewind and go watch that game, literally whoever the shit their striker was, I forget right now.
João Pedro.
Literally just ran in like Haaland style, if you will, last year, I think it was at the Emirates, where he literally just first kick of the ball, ran directly into Mascara, just knocked him down. And that was followed up with I think it was Caicedo, who Merino picked up the ball, gets up, shoves him, gets crazy. Enzo Fernandez is, and will always be a little bit of a cunt when it comes to being a little shithead footballer. And the tension was really high. And
Cucurella had a big, really early foul on Saka too, where he really deliberately went through his back of his legs and kicked him up in the air too.
Yeah, and the tempo, which was them, I guess, trying to be the most dominant force on the field. They wanted to outmuscle the Arsenal, but it was just dirty. And what was worse was the distribution of yellow cards from Anthony Taylor, because in my opinion, he really fucked up this game in more than one ways. Because after 12, 15 minutes, it was 3 Arsenal players to 1 Chelsea player. And if you surprise, with all the shit that the Chelsea players did, they only ended up with 1 yellow card throughout the entirety of the game, which is absolute madness to me. Chris, insane tactic to try to deploy versus the Arsenal, or do you think you were going to get away with a little bit of a home advantage reffing?
I think there's no love lost between these two clubs. I think their fans hate each other. I think the clubs, by and large, hate each other, despite the fact that we keep buying their players over and over again, which is a whole other podcast, I'm sure. I think Chelsea players treated this as the ultimate test to see if they were title contenders, and I think they thought if they could get a result that they were really going to believe that they could do it this season, and if they didn't, then they'd have to forego their belief for a couple more weeks. I think that's why they came out so hot, because guys, you guys know I was at Chelsea Arsenal 2 years ago. We all watched the game last year. The intensity and the temperature of that game from the very get-go, as you noted, Mikey, within the first 5 seconds, João Pedro running through Mosquera, I think set the tempo for the whole game. And I think what it revealed to us was if Chelsea believed that they had to play an emotional game, a physical game, and try to do the dark arts / set piece FC / all the names that we've been thrown at as a club over the past couple of years, they tried to do in the same game. They scored a set piece goal. They tried to shithouse their way to a result, and it didn't work. I agree with you, Mike, in that. I think the cardinal sin that Anthony Taylor made was yellow carding Zubimendi from the very get-go. And that was the first yellow card he gave out, because honestly, I think what was happening was he was seeing the temperature increasing pretty rapidly. And I think what he told himself after a certain foul is he said, the next guy who commits a foul, I'm giving a yellow to, because I have to manage the temperature. And that's his job. He's there to manage the temperature of the game. And sometimes that means you give out a yellow early. Sometimes if the temperature is not as hot, you sit on your cards, give out warnings, etc. I think what his cardinal sin is he gave out a yellow card for the softest of fouls. And that became, he kind of put himself in a corner. He painted himself in a corner where then every single time there was a foul just like that, he had to give out a yellow. And unfortunately, it adversely affected us, because we had a lot more of those kind of breakup counterattack yellow, those tactical fouls, if you will, that he ended up giving out 5 or 6 yellows for, which is insane, because the big criticism of PGMOL for as long as I can remember, the last couple of years at the very least, is that they love to penalize and card, the dumbest shit. But then when player safety is risked, they tend to overlook it. They tend to let it go. And I think that was exactly what we saw in this game. Even the fact that Anthony Taylor seemed like he had to be talked into even giving a yellow for Caicedo's red card challenge on Marino. He eventually, after 30 seconds, gave a yellow. And then, of course, very soon after that, the VAR sent him over to the monitor, and it was fairly clear that it was a red card challenge. So I think the cardinal sin was the first yellow card. I think in general, he managed the temperature after that fairly well. But it was he established a line in the sand that he was going to draw, and he was forced to continue to draw that line and keep that line once he yellow carded Zubimendi, which I think was the ultimate sin.
Yeah, I really, it was one of those that they clearly, part of the instruction was to go, and I think it was less like they kind of have it up them. I really think that they went out and said, we're going to commit as many fouls and try to raise the level of physicality, raise that. We're going to bet that Taylor's not going to give those yellows for the type of stuff we're going to do. And I guarantee you, I mean, Guerrero is a little rat-faced weasel, so 100% 100%. He's like, I'm going to.
I'm losing Kelly.
Sorry for cutting through. Oh yeah, okay. So
Yep.
you and I both, Kelly did warn me prior to the podcast. He's gonna cut back in, cut back out.
All right.
So yeah, if I picked up on what Kelly was saying, was he was trying to say that essentially they went into this game trying to see how much they could push the envelope versus, yes, Robot Kelly says the live chat, push the envelope to see how much they could get away with this within the home advantage. See if they could he's going to log back out. See if they could gain an advantage like that by bullying Arsenal, and hopefully for the Arsenal to fall victim, try to play that hard defensive game back. And sure enough, it kind of did work, because like I said, the first couple of minutes it was three cards for the Arsenal. Early in the second half, literally the first, and what surprised me about the Miles Lewis Skelly card, by the way, Chris, was not at, I don't really care about the time in which it happened. I understand it was like the very first foul of the second half, but I thought it was so outrageously far away from any threat that Chelsea could have posed that, yes, it was cynical, but it was one of those situations where, again, I felt like you had to want to give that card, because there was no reason to continue on with the temple of giving cards to every cynical foul. So he backed himself into a corner, and he ruined the game again. I'm going to say this in many more ways than one, but I think it was a big contributor for the fact of the how the game played out. I felt like nobody wanted to commit after, I don't know, minute 50. It was a very passive, cagey game in which like nobody wanted to get into any physical altercation. So it inevitably just ended up slowing down the game tremendously.
It was
before we move on about Caicedo, Chris. One point that Yankee Gooner from Arsenal Vision podcast pointed out, that within the recording of the VAR, they were literally telling Anthony Taylor, "We think Caicedo isn't hurt. He's just faking hurt too." I don't know if that should warrant more of a punishment. I feel like it's egg on the face of the PGML. And I couldn't for the life of me look at that foul and ask myself, holy shit, why did he issue a yellow card initially? Again, you almost have to want to not give a red card to not give a red card for a foul like that. Both feet left the ground. Sure, one, I think his left foot had already planted by the time he reached Mikel Merino. It was above the ankle. It raked down. It had literally all the telltale signs for something to be a red card. And yet he gave him a yellow card, and it took 2-3 minutes to arrive to the conclusion that it was a red card. A lot of time wasted by VAR, a lot of time wasted by Anthony Taylor. I don't know why these decisions take so much. But circling back to Caicedo, he is an embarrassment more so than a great player. I don't understand this whole. Kelly has a little soccer ball for his hobby that reminds me of Monterrey from Mexico. It was he wants to do this "I'm a tough guy" thing, and it just comes out so fake, and it's so forced, and he's just a really, really dirty footballer. Is my take on this whole thing.
I'm surprised that, because this is, I think, his first red card of the season, and I'm kind of surprised he doesn't have a reputation, because a lot has been made of some potentially career-ending tackles that he's had on other guys, like Anthony Gordon for Newcastle, and I think it was Gravenberch for Liverpool, and I think that was either earlier this season or towards the end of last season, but definitely within like recent time, he's had a very similar challenge on both players where a leg is planted and he's gone above the ankle, studs up, in kind of a 2-footed motion. And if you look at that tackle he makes on Merino in slow-mo, he actually launches himself with 2 feet, which is really unnecessary given you're in close quarters. It's not like you're coming from like 20 yards away on a steamer and you're just trying to win the ball and get there first any way you can. Like he loses the duel, Merino gets it, Merino, kind of releases the ball, and he comes in to kind of, like Lisandro Martinez. Remember that video that came out where he launched himself with 2 feet to try and stop the ball, and everybody was like, "What is this guy doing?" It's not quite that bad, but you don't need to jump off the ground 2-footed to kick a ball, and let alone leave one on the player, milliseconds after it leaves his foot. So he's got a rep. I don't know why he hasn't been carded before. As someone said in the chat, he could have easily had 2 yellow cards even before that tackle was made, and maybe he shouldn't even been on the pitch. But I think everybody gets to laugh at Chelsea last, because what they don't realize is that Caicedo's out for 3 games, and now they've lost to Leeds. And I think a big part is the fact that they don't have any steel in the midfield, shielding the back four, which is their back four is quite a travesty. I think Caicedo does a lot of the dirty work that makes that defense better than it really is. And they're going to miss him for the next 2 games too. And we know that we can tell that they're really kind of not very good against the bottom 5 to 10 teams in the league, who tend to be the kind of teams that won't come out and play them. They'll sit back and counter on them. And they struggle against those kinds of teams. They've already lost to, Burnley already this season, and they've already lost to Leeds. So that's 6 points dropped against 2 teams that are probably going to get relegated. And I have a feeling that if they're missing Caicedo for more games like that, which is the next 2, that we could see more drop points, which would be absolutely hysterical.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things too. Did we talk about during my, first of all, guys, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. I think also there needs to be the media, I think, drives a lot of this too, or some of the dialogue around it, because I didn't see the kind of aghast reaction to like Caicedo being like legitimately violent in the first half and being like, listen, he had about 4 yellow card challenges. So even if for some reason, some insane reason you disagree, that deliberately putting your foot ankle high and jumping into a challenge on somebody is not a red card, which it absolutely should have been. There was an accumulation of violent challenges and unsporting behavior that could have very easily got you to 2 yellow cards without squinting too hard on Caicedo. And like Joelinton, he kind of has that invisibility cloak as the kind of South American hard man that's kind of allowed to act like it's Roy Keane in 1996 for some reason. But again, it's just strange to me because there was some sort of greater appetite within the media to like praise Chelsea this week. Like we saw, it was Danny Mills said that it would be great for English football, for Chelsea to win. So again, a team owned by an American billionaire hedge fund that has spent like $2 billion in acquiring players over the last like 3 or 4 years. And previously its success all came from like blood money from a Russian oligarch. Like that club winning another championship would be like really good for the league, and try to say that with a straight face. We got the retconning of like the Reece James performance, which he was quite good as a central midfielder, saying like, okay, this is he's been called a Premier League legend by many players, even though he's 24 and has played like 130 total matches because he's been injured his entire career.
If they ever erect a statue for him outside of Stamford Bridge, it's going to be him on crutches. I swear to God.
Honest to Christ, like we're looking at the amount of matches played. Like he's played fewer games for Chelsea in his like 8 years there than Gabriel Magalhaes just played for us. Like it's just one of those things, and like far fewer games than Saka has played. And we get these weird appetites where I think like in the 24-hour news cycle within football in England, and again, we've talked about this before, how like actual news and the actual stuff that happens in football blends really perversely with like tabloid media kind of. And I think that entwining creates these bizarre threads that these Talk Sports and Sky Sports and all the podcasts and all these people will just latch onto. And if you say it enough times, it kind of becomes true. But the issue becomes it pervades the actual discourse. And I do think that England's a small country, and like football is a small, elite football is kind of a small area. So it does, I think, pervade its way onto the pitch. And I really wish that some of this energy would be like, Chelsea have like 7 or 8 red cards already this year. Like they're an ill-disciplined slop that like are trying to hurt people. You'd hope that would get down to the officials to be like, the Granit Xhaka syndrome. It's like, oh, there's Caicedo going in for another leg breaker. Like, fuck you. That's violent conduct. Get off the pitch. Like, we got to clean this up. So I'm not sure how we saw a very good Reece James performance kind of running all over the place after we beat Bayern and won the derby, right? And that became the story, and not Caicedo trying to kill people and Cucurella trying to snidely hurt people. And it being this big referendum on the state of the Premier League ended up being kind of a 1-1 draw. Like, I don't know, man. It's just really weird, but there was some fetishization up until they got pummeled by Leeds like a couple of days ago, that there was this fascination with inserting them into the title picture. Now they're 9 points back and you can't do that anymore. And now nobody's going to talk about Chelsea anymore. So it's this really weird, like, what the fuck are we doing for 4 days there and why?
I do think that there was a kindness that was shown to Chelsea. First and foremost, they keep on wording this thing where they say it's incredible what Maresca has only done in 2 years. And, you see it in media, you see it with the fans. They're like, 2 years into our project and we already accomplished what Arsenal did. Or Chelsea remind us of 2023, Arsenal. Imagine 203. 2023 Arsenal, like, nobody were expecting them to challenge, but here they are. They're not fucking that. They've spent nearly, what is it, 2 billion? Is it like 2 billion or 1 billion?
$2 billion.
$2 billion to put this squad together. Like, the idea that Maresca is coming into Chelsea in the same situation that Arteta did is fucking laughable and just intellectually dishonest.
Yes.
But they continue to say, oh my God, the work that he's done in 2 years. That's like, I don't know. It's like somebody picking up Chelsea, like City right now, and they play good and they're like, oh my God, he's such a great manager. Like, look at what he's done in 3 months. No, this is a blueprint of a club that everybody wishes to follow but can't compete with them because they also spent nearly fucking $500 million as well. But the only difference between them and Liverpool is that they separated between January and the summer. Yeah. So there's a disingenuous way in which they're reporting about Chelsea. Like you said, they kind of force them into the competitor thing because I think it's good for the tabloids. It's good for the league to say there's not a team that's running away. Mm-hmm. Another thing is nobody said, there's very few, if any, Arsenal supporters that are claiming that Arsenal are going to run away with the league. I think most of us are still very aware that Manchester City exist, that they're 5 points apart. It's welcoming that they're conceding so many goals, but this report of underdog Chelsea that's only been around for apparently 2 years that managed to scrap a win against big bag Arsenal. I don't know what Arsenal have done to deserve this fucking rap in the media. And I say media specifically because like Twitter assholes are going to be Twitter assholes, right? Yeah. They're gonna purposely troll in order to get likes and reactions and comments, and they want those fucking comments, right? And that's why I tend to just mute and walk away from them because I'm like, no, I don't want to give them the satisfaction.
Smart.
But this idea that like they're the most carded team in the league this far, right? Mm-hmm. They don't get labeled dark arts.
Yeah.
They don't get labeled dirty. But if you see a headline about Arsenal dark arts and wasting time, it's like a picture of our players and our club in the headlines. And the reporting has been incredibly generous to them, first and foremost. And they're not factoring the fact that, if I'm not mistaken, they haven't played City. They haven't gone away to They haven't gone away to Newcastle either.
They haven't done anything away, man.
They haven't done anything away. It's absolutely
they've had a really soft schedule to start.
It's amazing that they made it this far, 14 games into the season, and haven't played any of the top 4, 5, 6 teams. It's just
Mike, I think I read now this weekend. So Arsenal, this will be the 15 match of the season. This is our 5th time going away to a team that is in the top 4 on that weekend.
Yep.
Because Aston Villa is 3rd now. At the time, when we went to Liverpool and City, and we went to all these, and went to Sunderland, all of these teams were in the top in the Champions League places when we went there. 1/3 of our matches so far that we've played were away fixtures in a team that is in the top 4 at the time we played them. And we have lost.
I shared that in the back channel. Yep.
Yep. That is when we've lost one of those matches on a 30-yard Szoboszlai worldie. And people kind of forget too that there is. I think they went through one one podcast is kind of surprisingly, so Football Ramble is one of the few like ones that I went there, and they basically are talking like Arsenal winning the title is a foregone conclusion. It's really weird. All three of them that were on there consider, well, it's like, well, nobody's going to catch, like, they're the best team. Clearly, nobody's going to catch them. And they actually like legislated this type of stuff. It's like, well, City's like a leaky ship, and they have to outscore teams because they stink. And Chelsea's a joke, and Liverpool are going to fire their manager. So like, obviously Arsenal is just going to walk it. Like, we're all kind of like conceded in a moment of honesty. It's like, we're all just keeping this out there. And one of the guys, Jim Campbell, is like a big Arsenal fan. So he's like, hold on a second. It's like, no. It's like, but you're only saying that because you're an Arsenal fan. You don't want to jinx it. He's like, well, kind of. But I think by any objective measure, we're good for our 5-point lead in the league and then some. But I think that is like serious after this weekend. Like, that is the heft of the difficult away fixtures in the league. We have to go to City in the spring. We have to go to the Etihad, I think. And that's kind of it for like elite away ground stuff. Yeah. And I think that's a big deal. I also think it's a big deal that like we've been kind of banged up and hurt, and we've been like, we had to figure out how to like play with Mikel Merino as like our star striker now, which I'm sure we'll touch on and we talk the next match. But like, Arsenal are already kind of like figuring shit out with their like second and third backups and stuff, and they've had first 11 players spend tons of time out, and we're still 5 points ahead with like really excellent metrics. And we've played a bunch of these like really shitty away fixtures already, some of the most difficult ones of the season. And that is not in and of itself sufficient to say that like this is like locked in for us. It's first week of December, but like when we're moving deeper into the season and the margins are finer, I think we'll be quite happy for all of those things. Like at the time, it's like, oh my God, like what the fuck? Like, how are we playing these guys again? Like, how are we playing at Liverpool and at Old Trafford and like playing all these difficult? We're playing Sunderland when they absolutely have their tails up because they're flying and they haven't been in the Premier League in years and all this type of shit. And I think ultimately, if you get out to the other side of it and you're keeping a strong pace, you're cool. It's kind of like last year with Liverpool. Like, they won the league by 10 points with 84 points. And we lost to City a couple of years ago with 89 points. So like, this is not a season where we're going to have to score. And I don't think we're going to have to get to 89 or 90 or 91 points to win the league this year.
Well, Kelly, I took the over on 90 points for the season, so we need to get there. Just for my ego.
Did you bet Magic Mike's condo on it?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. A night in Magic Mike's condo. That's exactly what I bet.
Magic Mike would give away a night, depending on who it is. It would give away a night in his condo just about anybody, I think.
Can I read you guys who Chelsea had played away? This is going to blow your mind.
Shoot,
please.
All right.
Do.
They beat West Ham away.
Mm-hmm.
They drew Brentford away 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
They lost to Man United away. That's the highest team in the standings that they played away. Eighth place Man United. Wow. They beat Nottingham Forest away. Nottingham Forest is in 16th.
And they were in tailspin at the time.
Exactly. And he also got a red card in that game. They that was in EFL Cup. They beat Tottenham away 1-0. Tottenham's in 11th. They beat Burnley away. Burnley is in 19th. And then they lost to Leeds 3-1. Leeds is in 17th. I mean,
Christ almighty.
They played 8th place, 11th place, 13th place, 16th place, 17th place, 18th place, and 19th place away.
So top of my head, I haven't visited Liverpool, Newcastle,
nope,
City,
nope,
Aston Villa, which is I would say are remaining tough.
Sunderland away,
Sunderland away.
Crystal Palace is never easy away.
Liverpool supporters mocked us for drawing versus Sunderland, and here they are at Anfield with their 1-1.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace is a tough away game. No, it's actually remarkable the calendar that they've managed to have. So that said, this next 3 to 4 games should be tougher games for.
And they're 9 points off. Like if we were 5 points in the lead and that was our schedule, I'd be uncomfortable right now. If I was like, holy shit, we're 5 points clear, but we literally have to play the 6 most difficult away matches we have to play still in the league in the next 22 matches. Like, that fucking sucks. That's really difficult. And like, you don't want to be doing these bop around trips either. Like, you don't want to be going up to Newcastle if you can help it in like the festive period either.
Oh, they're doing that December 20th.
Like that's a motherfucker. And like, I don't care how goofy Newcastle have been. Like, what a miserable place to go and play. Like,
absolutely, yes.
Like, you definitely don't want to go and it's going to be pissing rain. It's going to be insanely cold, and those like sociopaths are going to be screaming at you 60,000 strong up there. Like, you don't want to play them, especially if they sense weakness in that crowd. Well, like, that's miserable to watch Arsenal play at Newcastle, no matter the circumstances. I can't imagine.
And they're not going to have Caicedo. No, they will have Caicedo back, unfortunately. They have.
Well, him and Joe Williamson, maybe it'll be like.
They'll both get red cards.
Yeah, they're both going to like kick each other in the head simultaneously and just be done then for a while. The two
mutants. This is who they have for the rest of December into January, though. They have Bournemouth away. Then they have Atalanta away in the Champions League. Then they have Everton at home, Cardiff City in the EFL Cup away, Newcastle away, Aston Villa at home, and then Bournemouth again at home. And then January 4th is Man City away. I mean, that isn't like murderer's row, but it's not easy. You've got Man City away, you've got Newcastle away in there, and then you've got, a Bournemouth team who's been up and down this season, but they can give anybody a hard game.
Yeah.
I really rate Areola, and I think they'll give them a match for sure. And in fact, they're playing them next, and I actually, if I was a betting man, I'd put money on Bournemouth at home to beat Chelsea, because they just look so piss poor without Caicedo out there, and they looked absolutely done against Leeds. So this is not another Chelsea podcast, but it is fun to just imagine how far down the league table they're going to be by the end of December, looking at these fixtures.
I just think a lot of these teams are going to beat each other. Like the pair, like somebody posted too on Twitter, is like, this is what parity looks like. There's such a huge glut of teams that are between like 24 and 19 points.
Separates them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fucking crazy. And like, it doesn't take a whole lot for somebody to get up on. It's basically what's happened to Villa so far, right? Where they kind of like, they get on a decent groove and they get their heads like, what the fuck? We're third now?
Yeah, exactly. They were in 17th like a couple weeks ago. I swear to you.
Yeah, they rip off whatever they've won. Like they're the informed team of the last. Like, I think they have like one more point in the last 8 matches than Arsenal has.
They're also doing that Unai Emery thing where they're way outperforming XG.
Yeah,
which he notoriously did at Arsenal, and then that the bottom's about to drop out. So hopefully that happens when we play them. But
this weekend would be an astonishing weekend for the bottom to drop out.
Yes,
like set up really, really conservatively and turgidly for no specific reason, and then get 3 goals against you and never come out, like the Unai thing, where it's like, oh, I guess I'm frozen now. I can't do anything for the next 2 weeks. Like, run it back out there, back to Mustafi, like that type of stuff.
Before we move on from the Chelsea game, I do want to talk about our injury situation. We did get the highs of Victor Gyökeres coming back, Madueke's back, Gabriel Jesus, if you want to count him. I generally I don't mean this to like make a joke, haha. I generally think they've been so much smoke about Gabriel Jesus' return to Brazil. I'm kind of starting to believe it, and so like if we don't see him play the next few games, I'm totally buying into the idea that the club is willing to move on from him. This is the first time, trying to quote Tom Canton, hopefully I don't butcher this stat for too much. It's been 3 years, 3 months, and 26 days since Mikel Arteta didn't have access to both Gabriel Magalhaes and Saliba in defense. So difficult away game at Stamford Bridge with Hincapié and Mosquera, who has never played together. And I do think I'm taking this little bit of an opinion of a good mate, Jordan, that we all know. I do think that our midfield and maybe our strikers did take a little bit more risk in cutting off and making those cynical type fouls just in order to shield them. Because, nothing against them. They're both great. They both need to develop more. The league is difficult, obviously. But they're not Gabriel Magalhaes and Saliba. Not a lot of pairing of center backs are, if any. So maybe our team was playing with that. Maybe the team is just tired and fatigued. But overall, I got to ask you guys, try to put yourself in the mindset when we ended up 1-1 at the Bridge. I'm not going to say anybody was happy, because I don't think happy was the word that was going around. I think it was content.
Yeah.
And people were saying 1-1, I'll take that at the Stamford Bridge. And I think a lot of the things that was said, at least at the very least, that irritated me a little bit, to be completely honest, is everybody said, if you would have gave me a point before the game, I would have taken that. I understand that way of thinking. However, we played against them for nearly 60 minutes. And that irritated the holy shit out of me. Like, I'm completely aware that still 5 points clear, completely aware that we just played Spurs, Bayern Munich, and Chelsea. They had an extra 24 hours of rest. They got to play against Barcelona with 10 men. I'm aware of all that context, and still I felt like we should have won that game. And I know that it came down ultimately to Timber reaching a header before Gyökeres, because Gyökeres was 100% was going to bury that, that goal at the
uncontested header, middle of the box.
80th minute, right? I completely understood that part. But I don't know. I found myself really wound up that the Arsenal didn't win this game. And it's not that I'm like, my expectation, and you guys know this, I'm not expecting the team to win and, the next 16 games, right? Win. I'm not expecting that. That's unrealistic. But due to all the circumstances in which I probably don't rate Chelsea high as many people do, the fact that Caicedo, which is probably the main,
is their best player this year for sure.
Yeah, wasn't there. And it was so long of a period of time. It's not like they played the last 10 minutes. Yeah. And on top of that, the fuckos managed to get, sure, there were shit shots, but they managed to outshoot us.
Yeah.
Which I was left talk about bitter. It was bittersweet for me at the very least. I was kind of like, well, thank goodness we didn't lose that fucking game. I don't, and I was like, I understand that the goal that we conceded was kind of a shit corner.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I saw some still frames about people calling for an offside. I think we've all came to the conclusion that if you're an Arsenal fan that wanted that to be an offside, you're absolutely reaching. And if that would have happened to the Arsenal, you would have been losing your absolute shit.
Yep,
so
agreed.
If you guys can provide me with some perspective of where you guys were exclusively on the draw, and did it change your mind at all watching them get whooped by Leeds? Because for me, the Leeds results, I'm like, well, there it is. That's all you had to do.
Yeah.
It further cements my belief that they're fairly shit and that they're there for the taking. So go ahead, Kelly, take it.
Yeah. So my thing is, it's kind of a Mikel giveth, Mikel taketh type of thing, right? So Arteta is inherently conservative, and the fact that he has the quality center backs, maybe partially because of how much emphasis he puts on the control in the center backs, is that our defenders tend to look we're really, really good. Like, they're given the ball a lot. They're allowed to feel themselves. They're allowed to get on the ball constantly. They have Calafiori and Timber have carte blanche to kind of go wherever they want, provided they can get back. And Raya gets to touch the ball a ton. Everything runs through our back four and our goalkeeper, right? So when a team is we've always struggled under Arteta to break down a compact block, and whether that's how you do it or not, that tends to be how you sit back when you have a man disadvantage. I think that game state is inherently more difficult for us because of how we build, and we want to draw people onto us. We want to possess the ball. And we want to do all those things. And the kind of dogged determination of a deep block is something that is going to set up better anyway to play against how we want to play, which is getting possession, high touch towards the back, and kind of make incisive types of movements forward, right? And even we really like to cross the ball aerially. You can see that guys like guys like Marino and guys like Kai Havertz will get a lot of headed touches at corner based, we very threatening from set pieces. When people are sitting with 10 guys in the box not trying to win, that negatively impacts what we do. And so these guys went down to 10 men, and we didn't have our choice center back pairing. We didn't, as good as Mascara and as good as Hincapié are, they're not going to be taking multiple touches in playing dagger balls when they're 30 yards away from goal. And both Gabriel and Saliba do that because they're both confident they can get back and stop. Like, they are two players. I've never seen it before in my football watching life. Two players that are more comfortable defending like a 3-on-2 or a 4-on-2 break back. They'll go together and run back on like a 4-on-2 and be totally comfortable that they're not going to concede a shot or a good shot. And they'll do it all the time. So like, without those two very unique players, I think you don't do that as much, Mike. I think you're right. I think there was a lot of strategic rotational fouling. I think the team was nervous about having those two players together in that circumstance, in that venue. And I think the conservatism of the manager and the team and our prioritization of defensive solidity and security meant that we lent into that too far, probably, to make sure that we wouldn't lose that match. And so we didn't do the extra things that we needed to do, and probably had enough energy to get away with doing, right? Like the risk, the reward for going forward and pushing it and making more emphasis and taking more shots and kind of trusting our guys in the back probably outweighed the risk. But we were really afraid of that risk, that one sucker punch risk that we're going to lose 2-1. And it was going to be a 2-point lead on the table. And oh, fuck, what's happening now? So that's one. I agree with you. I think we didn't push hard enough. I think we were satisfied with that draw. And whether that is good enough to go and get us where we want to go, I think time will tell in May. So that's number one. And number two, as soon as Chelsea got slapped by Leeds and we won our next match, we kind of don't give a shit anymore, because it's kind of one of those ball don't lie situations. It's like, well, they still are kind of like mediocre and we're still pretty good. So this is just like law of averages shit happening here. So we're fine. Again, I think you can get away with that in a Premier League season that's not going to require 90 plus points. But I mean, Man City are Man City, and they could win 10 matches in a row, and some of these drop points could look foolish like they have in the past. So that's my take anyway.
Everything you said about the center backs is correct. I mean, we leave them on an island to defend all sorts of situations where we are overloaded, going the other way, and they handle it beautifully. So I think that's a really point well made. I think the other point is that, we were called Set Piece FC for half the season. That's not just we were scoring from set pieces, we're also really good defending them. Mm-hmm. And ironically, Saliba and Gabriel are not in this game. I think Hincapié is decent in the air, actually, but Mascara really struggles. Yeah. While he wasn't at fault for their goal in the set piece, I think you put in Gabriel and Saliba and that gets headed out easily. Mm-hmm. And they don't get a set piece goal against us. And maybe we get a set piece goal because Gabriel is the best in the business of that. So I think there's just little fine margin stuff that, with your two starting center backs that sort of unsettle the entire kind of back line, where what happens is it's not that, again, Mascara and Hincapié are bad, but they've never played with each other. So there is no sense of partnership. There's no sense of understanding of how they play each other in a real competitive situation, in a really hostile environment. Number one, they're both new to the Premier League. But number two, what naturally happens is that your supporting fullbacks and your midfielders start taking a couple of steps back, because you're not quite certain how they're going to defend in those situations. You want to make sure you don't leave your back door open. Especially if you're up 11v10, you don't want to give up a goal to a 10-man Chelsea in open play. So I think, to your point, we're already kind of naturally conservative. I think you play even more naturally conservative when you don't have your starting center back pairing, who is and this Yankee Gunner said this as well, which I think is a point really well made. They are our identity. We are identified by our two center backs. And when that identity isn't on the pitch, you lose a bit of that understanding and that faith that when you push forward as a fullback, when you push forward as Zubimendi tends to do and as Rice tends to do in those situations, you're going to hesitate. You're not going to do that quite as often. And I think that really sacrificed our impetus in 11v10 situations where we went around the shoehorn. And to be fair, Chelsea they had Pedro Neto and their 18-year-old right winger, who are blazing fast. Yep. And Estevao, right? And he's really good 1v1. Like you would never know he was 18 watching him. He is. I know he's only scored like 2 goals this season, but my God, is he good? And he's going to be a real problem for the league in a couple of years when he's actually fully developed and grown. But I think you have to respect that speed on the outside. And again, I think that's just another factor that when you're up a man and it's even, you're going to be patient to try to get that goal up. And it just so happened that they scored on that set piece, and then we kind of had to go for it. And all the things that we just talked about, which is starts with your center back pairing, didn't quite allow us to go hell for leather, because if they get then a second goal, the game's basically over.
Yeah,
and you're losing to a 10-man Chelsea.
I think there's Mikel Arteta would be happy that I mentioned something like this, but like there's an aura that comes with Saliba and Gabriel too. Like, you know, when they're there, like the shits go up people when we take a corner, or when like it feels like it's hopeless when we're defending a corner. I think in the same way that like Van Dijk, I think was his personality and reputation, I think helped him defend better than he actually was in the last couple of years. Now nobody's afraid of him anymore, and he's just a good center back who's old and slow now, because he's almost, I think he's pushing 35 years old. Like, it's different. We can acknowledge that Mosquera is one of the best U22 center backs in the world, and we can acknowledge that Piero Hincapie's a really good center back and will be starting in pretty much every other club in the Premier League, but they're not Gabriel and Saliba, which you can make a compelling argument that they both are two of the top 3 or 4 center backs in the entire world in the same team. So there's no legislating for that in the same way there's like no legislating for, again, like Salah last year. Like, there's great players, and there are guys who do 20 and 10 in the Premier League, right? And in the second that pillar going away means that they're fucked. Like, it doesn't matter if you spend 400 million on new attackers. None of them are 20 and 10 guys in the league. So you're fucked if you think that if your playing style is based on that type of elite performance at a position cluster, right? You can't do it. If Haaland does his hamstring and is out for 2 months, I mean, the Egyptian kid is a really good striker, right? Like, Omar Mamouche is a really good striker. He's not Erling Haaland, because Erling Haaland is the best striker in the world and is the highest goal return, and has been for like the last 4 years. They cannot play the same way without Erling Haaland, because you cannot replace him in the same way that you cannot replace Gabriel and Saliba with anybody. You couldn't go and take the next best. Who would we even determine as the next best 2 Premier League center backs after them? Because I'm working under the assumption they are literally the 2 best center backs in the Premier League. Who else do you got? Like, who else we got? Nobody. Yeah. And if we had them, we wouldn't trust them to the degree that we trust Saliba and Gabriel.
True.
Well, Van Dijk decided to become Mustafi overnight. So.
Yeah. Van Dijk is now an aged clown. I literally don't. I can't think of who you would put there. Like the fucking Nottingham Forest guy. I don't know.
The Nottingham. We don't even name him by name. We're just like the Nottingham Forest guy.
Like Gahey, like would you be as secure if Gahey was coming in for Saliba or Gabriel? Like, absolutely not. And he's an excellent player and an England international. But like, I don't know. Anytime that you have elite position group play and a cluster injury hits that, it goes from being a point of extreme confidence and aura and kill him in the tunnel shit to, it doesn't matter who you replace it with, there's still uncertainty there. And they are, in performance and reputation, are 2 of the best players at their position in the entire world. So taking them both out at roughly the same time means that now, to their teammates and to opponents, now it's Hincapie this is his time to prove that he's worth 50 million. And it's Mosquera is now, of course, is injured, which we'll get to that now as we kind of proceed forward. But like, now it's Timber's turn to prove that he's one of the best versatile defenders in the world, and we kind of have to go from there. Our patterns will protect them to some degree, but people are going to run them in a little bit more, and they're going to jump with them more because they're not Saliba and Gabriel.
Can I just say one more thing about this match? Mm-hmm. And that is, and this, we can talk about this in the context of the Brentford match too, because the same thing happened. Mikel Merino scored. On a header, and
read my mind, Chris. I was about to say the same thing.
What do we make of this guy? So he played at Newcastle in the mid 2010s, right?
Yeah.
I've seen a screenshot go around that I don't know how many games he played for Dortmund, but he played center back for Dortmund for at least 1 game. 3. Thank you. We bought him thinking he's like, he's Declan Rice's deputy, Yeah. And Declan Rice more as a 6, not as an 8. Like we saw Compson like, oh, he's the best dual winner in Europe, and he's really good in the air, and like he's sort of a utility midfielder, and he's going to take minutes off of guys to keep him rested. Nobody thought it was going to be Mikel Merino, like 23 goal contributions since he's arrived at Arsenal since last year. I mean, what's his face on AVP that's also on Arscast? Phil Costa said we have to stop calling him a midfielder that's been repurposed into a striker. He's a striker now, and he's one of the best like output strikers that are in the Premier League. I mean, I know that sounds ridiculous to say out loud, but if you look at his minutes played as a striker and what his goal contribution is, it's actually absurd. He has 3 goals and 3 assists. I'm looking right now. Hold on. He has 3 goals and 3 assists in the Premier League this year, in 685 minutes. I'm sure not all of those minutes are played at striker, by the way.
No.
And he's got 2 goals in the Champions League. So he's got 5 goals from a total of 3 XG. I mean, not only is he not getting a ton of opportunities, but the opportunities he is getting, he's absolutely putting in the back of the net. So he is a big player. And I guess my question to you guys is, what do you do with Mikel Merino in a really important game when you've got Victor Gyökeres and Kai Havertz healthy? I know, like, we all want to say, knee-jerk reaction, we're going to play Havertz, in certain kind of games, we're going to play Gyökeres in other kinds of games, and Mikel Merino goes back to midfield. But can you do that? Like, is that based on what we've seen, is that the responsible thing to do? Given, again, I feel like I'm talking like a madman, but you have to look at his output and say he scored some really big goals for us this year and last year, and I don't know that you can ignore it for much longer.
No, I think the big stats on Merino is that he had 26, I think, or 26 or 27 professional goals in like the first decade of his career.
Yeah.
And then he has like 18 of them or 19 of them in the last calendar year. It's something just fucking crazy. Like he's added this entire layer to his game from being like an above average, like box to box midfielder to being like a very strong, versatile forward. And like in the same, I think people are maybe sometimes forgetting like this character arc kind of came with Kai Havertz, where he ostensibly bought him to be the left 8, and then he just became a striker. And he kind of plays striker in a similar way. I would say that Havertz is more athletic and has a much better engine and better tools. But Merino is obviously a far more confident finisher, and I think is craftier too and more physically robust. Obviously, I think you just do the thing and you keep playing him at striker. Like it's cool, it's fine. Like he's going fine. Everybody's going fine around him. I think it helps with Merino when Trossard is there. So hopefully Trossard is back this weekend. I'm not sure what the news is on him, but I think the way in which he will run behind or control and clip crosses, I think is helpful. I don't know that in this game state, I think he looked, and maybe this is a good time to transition into the next match, but like he doesn't work as well with Martinelli out there because Martinelli doesn't work as well with anybody as a left wing. But yeah, I mean, I think he went from being a really kind of a head scratching decision because he didn't do a whole lot. And again, his lack of like athletic pop and first step and some of the physical speed tools like hurt him as an attacking midfielder, but is really not affected him that much as a striker, which is really funny. But I mean, he's obviously I think in the very much like there's a meme that we did like the 3 Spider-Man meme as a reply. But like it was Arteta, Merino, and Zubamendi were all like animatedly speaking to each other on the sideline a couple weeks ago about what was happening, and it's just like all 3 of those guys are going to be managers. Like these are all 3 like Spanish versatile interior midfielders who are like having an animated argument about what's happening and what to do on the pitch. And it's like if you ever wanted to know why Arteta waited for a year for Zubamendi or why Arteta opined for Merino, like you could see it in them. It's like, oh, okay, shit. They all think exactly the same way, and they're all getting on the same page to figure out how to do this thing. And it was just really, really kind of a funny, I think, typing because like Arteta talks at a lot of players on the sidelines, and like the amount of my favorite is always when he puts Miles Lewis-Skelly or Ethan Lanyerian, and he talks, he gives them like a 2,000 word soliloquy where they're just kind of standing there going, and he's like tapping him on the chest and like pointing and like gesticulating wildly. But when he interfaces with like Marino and Odegaard and Zubimendi and stuff, he's discussing with them what's happening, and they're going back and forth, and it's more of an equal playing field conversation. So I think that's part of it too, where like Marino obviously was somebody a manager who loves very versatile players. Got somebody in and then found another tune out of this fucking guy who seemed like this big kind of a clumpy mess sometimes. And wouldn't you know it, he scores goals. I'm sure the Spanish national team, by the way, is fucking thrilled too, because that guy's been kicking the ball in the net a ton for Spain too, right before the World Cup. And it's like, thanks, Mikel, for helping this random ass guy find his shooting boots. Like, he was a depth midfielder, and now he like plays all the time for Spain because he scores all the fucking time for him. So anyway,
yeah.
As far as to what to do with him, Chris, I would play him the majority of the minutes that he has left at the club as a striker, to be completely honest with you. I now view him as a striker that is a utility midfielder. That is literally how I viewed him. I think he came up in the ranks at the right time. Again, I've spoken extensively that Gabriel Jesus, I feel like his fitness has failed him, unfortunately for him. I'm not even like taking the piss. And I think sooner or later, if not in January, definitely the summer, I think the club's going to move on from him. So let Marino have that spot, and maybe let's look for another midfield option, because we are, I guess, at a lack of better words, kind of light in the midfield option, because I guess Marino was, by a lot of people's perspective, at least on Twitter, was like he's going to be a defensive-minded midfielder, and he's very far away from that. He's played at 10, he's played at 8, he's played everywhere but 6.
We've joked on here so many times. The further away he is from goal, the worse he is technically.
Yes,
the better
absolutely.
he is, the better he gets when he gets closer to goal. So yeah, I mean, I think don't play him at center back for sure. Don't play him at the 6. I think the deepest I want him playing is at the 8, and I'd rather have him play as a 10 or a second striker or as a lone striker, which is, I think, his best position at Arsenal. So who knew?
Yeah, I mean, not us, that's for sure. Mikel Arteta might have had an answer too. Yeah, but no, it's actually quite astonishing. He's helped us through an entire, like, a very difficult period. He's been playing nonstop, I think 4 games in a row. This calendar have not been really kind to us, at the very least. I think going into that Chelsea game with one less day worth of rest did have a heavy impact. Declan Rice is finally showing signs of potentially breaking down, which, you hate to see, but every human being has its limits. Mikel Arteta was asked about it, and he went about it the most polite way. He didn't rant. He's happy that he's first place, of course, but he did like to remind the media that the players aren't robots, and suggested that maybe potentially this weekend in particular, the team would have benefited maybe of having an extra day's rest, right? Not having to play on Wednesday and Saturday morning again. So the games are coming in tremendously thick, tremendously fast, and for as much as Mikel Arteta would like to rotate, I do think that his options are so limited, because the cluster of injuries that we're having, it seemed like we went from, literally, it feels like from one week to another, we had like nearly our entire front line injured, to now it's our whole lineup of center backs, which fortunately for us, and we can't have this podcast without mentioning them. Ben White, I'm not going to lie to you guys, when he did not start versus Bayern Munich nor Chelsea, I went into this game thinking, what is it with Ben White? And if he doesn't start, what's going on? Because you can't question his talent, because when he was playing for us, he was one of our best players. Fitness levels is the only thing that it could come up with. And of course, Timber, he's an absolute fucking baller. Timber is at least, top 3, if not the best right back in the league. I think that is not hyperbolic. I'm not looking to be clipped. I'm not saying he's better than fucking Prime Cafu or whatever fucking. He's not Philip Lahm. I'm not saying all that shit. I'm just simply saying, on current form, it's very few honest fan bases, I would say, that would not put him in the team of the season thus far. He's been absolutely amazing. But the fact that Ben White comes in, plays right back, within minutes, unfortunately, Christian Mosquera gets himself injured by jumping up the air and falling off the wrong way. And then all of a sudden, Ben White, who started playing the game as right back, ends up as center back. And surprise, ends up being the player of the game. So, again, something that I've always admired of him: amazing versatility, amazing fitness, amazing will to play the game. How are you looking this weekend, man? Are you feeling confident with the lack of options that we currently have now, or steady we go with Ben White in the middle next to partnering up with this Hincapié?
You invoke the name of Ben White, so I feel like Kelly should talk about this.
There you go.
I mean, he's your hero.
Yeah. It's it was very nice to see him back and being back to being the Ben White that we've known and loved. We're not the first people to make this observation, but it was pretty clear that physically he was not right. So like a trademark of Ben White is the really kind of smooth running athleticism, being strong and spiky, doing those inverts and overlaps with a more static right wings, typically Saka. In this case, it was Noni Madueke, which is actually really encouraging for us too, because Madueke just got back to, and he seemed to find a pretty quick rapport with Ben White, which is really, really good for us, especially we're talking partnerships. Helpful that Nani actually, from a profile, actually likes to attack a really similar way to Saka. So White picked up where he left off, but it's less in what he was doing, just how he was moving, I think, especially for the first 70 minutes. That kind of tall, lanky, powerful athlete, that kind of two-way physicality, all of that stuff was all there. I think he led the team in clearances. He did really well with his ground duels. He just did a lot of the Ben White stuff that the few times he hasn't been injured, he's plays oh, fuck, can he not run anymore? Is he not, he doesn't have the recovery pace. He doesn't seem to have the pop or anything. And I think sometimes you just need to get a game back and feel good and play well, and then you're good. And it really felt like this was the get right game for him. And it's important because I don't think Ben White has really not played center back very much in the last 2 or 3 seasons. And since Saliba came back in, I think that they would play Timber at right center back and just keep White at right back. If truly, first of all, I do think that Saliba is going to play this weekend, so I think it's probably going to be no. I wouldn't be super surprised to see White play again, though, especially if the idea was to give Timber a full 90 off, or maybe have Timber play the last 10 or 15 minutes. And you, depending on how White recovers physically, you might go with a hot hand and just say, okay, go out there and give us an hour like you did before. It might not happen, but I'm certain that Timber was supposed to either get the full 90 off or come in for the last 10 or 15. He ended up having to play the last half hour, probably last 40 minutes, something like that. Kind of riffing at center back too. He wasn't really playing as a structured center back. He was just kind of going out there okay, just go and defend. Kind of just going to go and hang back there in the back line, defend and sweep up. But he wasn't playing as a structured center back really. So I don't know, man. It's great to see Ben back. And again, great assists, great header. He praised on Marino, but a true poacher's center forward header.
Absolutely.
Great clip cross. That's what you want. Everything we would have reasonably wanted to see from a Ben White get right game. This was 100%. And physically, technically, tactfully. The only thing that happened is he did run out of smoke in the last 20 minutes or so. He was sitting pretty far back after Saka came on.
He looked knackered.
He was absolutely wrecked. He made one, I think, a guy got past him. He kind of made a lunging, sliding tackle in the last 10 minutes. And he kind of get back up and he was pumped and everything, but he was kind of oh, thank God. Kind of I'm laying out to get this, and thank God I knocked this out for a corner because I wasn't going to be able to catch him. But again, if we do know nothing else about White, though, is that everybody says he's a tremendous worker. And I'm sure that whatever he would have to do to recover physically to kind of come back and be even better next game, he's definitely going to do, because they interviewed him after the game. He's talking about how the quality is so good in this team that people get the shirts and they don't give them back in the same way that Trossard hasn't, and some of these other guys have come in and they just don't get out. And you can play them in training, but it's not the same as playing in front of 40,000 people on national TV. I don't know.
BX makes a good point about Ben White. I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was last year where Saliba gets pushed over by, I think their defender, McGinn goes and pummels the ball at Saliba, and then Ben White comes in, and while Saliba's about to get up and murder McGinn, Ben White just absolutely kicks the crap out of the ball at McGinn, and McGinn's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Dude, we need that energy on the pitch sometimes," and at a really feisty stadium like Villa away, and with a guy like McGinn, I mean, BX is totally spot on.
Yeah,
you need an enforcer on the pitch, and I think wherever Ben White is, I don't really care if he's. I don't think he'll play center back. I think he's now kind of a right back for right now. That will allow us to maybe rest Timber for at least, a good 60 minutes. Maybe Timber comes on to relieve Ben White when he gets tired, but at least you give Timber most of the night off. I think that could be a good shout. I just think you need someone that's going to match the energy of McGinn, and I think Ben White's the guy to do that. So
yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what ends up happening, because again, I'm certain that Mikel would have loved to give Timber the entire match off.
Yep.
So the game after this is Bruges, right? So
yes,
is there any
they're all
world,
going to be off in Bruges? So
is there any world in which you guys see Timber start this game?
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's going to be Here's where I'm going with Timber starting at right back, but it's going to be a partnership of Saliba and Ben White in our center of defense, because Igor Arteta already said a few times already that it's only a matter of days for Leo Trossard, Saliba to be back. Saliba hasn't been out for that much, so I'm choosing to believe that his match fitness isn't incredibly behind. And I don't know. I kind of feel that Mikel Arteta is going to do that thing where he's going to like write it out, like almost like, hey guys, this is the last big thing before we have that one smaller team. Yeah. And I could kind of see Saliba, Ben White playing in the middle, Calafiori on the left, Timber on the right, and then Miles Lewis-Skelly is going to come in versus Bruges. Nkapia is going to come back in, and then depending on fitness levels, they're gonna figure out what they're going to do between Saliba and Ben White at center back. But I don't know.
It would be a lot of matches for Nkapia in a row, wouldn't it? It's like out of nowhere, he's playing like 4 90s in like a week and a half.
I would totally believe it. It's exactly that. It's just like he has past precedents of being able to do it. So like I kind of feel like it's something that he would do. So because of his personality, this was great fitness levels as well for Ben White, because he had so long without actually playing. He's one of the few players, in my opinion, that went a prolonged time without playing. And he came in and he didn't have that, well, he looks rusty type of feeling. At least that was my sense. Like, look, Madueke has been proving to be pretty decent for us. Of course, he had the goal versus Bayern Munich, but versus Chelsea did not look very impressive. Versus Brentford, he had a very tough time. And just like, I could kind of see that, like, and here comes Ben White having all this time off, being an absolute professional, no matter what his like bad reputation is because he doesn't watch football or whatever. Complete professional coming in and again playing 2 different positions, finish off the game, provide an assist, player of the game. So for all of these reasons, I feel like Ben White 100% starts versus Villa. That's kind of where I'm at.
I think if he's fit enough, I think he'll start. I think we should talk about the other side of the pitch too, the other fullback, because I think Calafiori is having a very underrated season this season. And I watched the game obviously, but I also watched some comps just so I could focus on what he was doing. And I don't know what it is about Arteta, but he takes these guys who were trained as center backs. I mean, Calafiori is by training a center back. And you think about a standard center back, and you think of a guy who's good 1v1 defending. He's good in the air. He might be good on the ball, passing out from the back. Like a modern day center back typically is. He's a good ball striker, a good passer from deep. But then you look at where he actually plays. Now that he's been kind of shifted to more of a left back, and he's playing like a winger / attacking midfielder. He's everywhere.
Yeah.
And defenses can't track him. They don't know where he's going to pop up next. He's got this very free role. I just think when you've got a really tough away game, I think you want Calafiori starting. And I think that's why I was a bit nervous that he started against Brentford, because he has 4 yellow cards. And if he would have picked up another one under accumulation, he would have been out for that Villa match. And I think we need him for the Villa match, to be honest. I really want to see him start at left back because he's got that freedom, that license to roam. And he strikes the ball like an attacking midfielder, like a winger. I mean, he almost scored against Brentford when he made kind of a gallivanting run through the middle of the pitch, found the ball at the edge of the box, looked like he was about to shoot with his left foot, pulls it over to his right foot, and the keeper makes a good save on it. And I think Saka is there for the rebound, maybe Marino, and then just kind of scuffs it, and we don't score when we should have. I think he is an X factor for the team, and I think when you need a goal, when you need a win at a bogey ground like Villa away, who have, I think, ruined a few of our title charges in years past, where we need to get a result, where we know that Unai Emery is going to somehow bring his best against us because he wants to make a point that he's a better coach than he is, and that he's better than what he showed at Arsenal. I think you need the X factor on the pitch. So I don't know. We should give him his flowers because I think he's had a very underrated season. I think he was really good last year too. And he's managed to stay fit. And I think as long as he's out of the red zone, as long as he's fit enough to start, I'd want to see him on the other side. Let Timber rest if we can afford to. Put Saliba in the back line. Play in Cappy if you need to. I'm assuming Mascara is not going to be fit to play. And then maybe you move Calafiori back to center back after 60, 70 minutes, put in Miles Lewis-Skelly to see it out. And take your chances there. But all in all, fullbacks play a really important role in this setup we have. And I think our best fullbacks are probably Timber and Calafiori on both sides. But I think Timber desperately needs a rest. And I think we need to make sure that we don't face another long-term injury with him because he's probably been our second best player this season behind Declan Rice.
Yeah. I think
that's my theory anyways.
Like Mike pointed out before, I think maybe the biggest interesting part of this lineup is that we do go to Bruges next match. So I think the two parallel lines will be, can we get this player one more day of rest because he's not going to play in Bruges and come back all the way fit? And can we get one more match, an important match out of this player because we know that he's not going to play in Bruges? Right. So you have those two competing things where it's the club probably would really know that Declan Rice is in the red zone, but probably want to get another hour out of him to get through
at least
Villa away. Yeah. Get 70, 80 minutes and be your feet are up. You're in the jet tub. You're in the ice bath. You're not doing anything for several days after this. You are not even going to be on the plane to Bruges. Right. It's that type of thing. Or it's man, but it's those two parallel lines of thought where it's to get one more game out of somebody or to get one more day's rest to compound the rest that could happen. Again, they would probably really, really like to avoid using Leo Trossard, knowing that he's not going to play in Bruges and all of a sudden he'll be back next week. And then all of a sudden a calf tweak is a 10-day injury instead of forcing him back and having him come off after 25 minutes or something like that. So.
Yeah, generally curious to see how much rotation is going to be. I do think Emiliano Martinez, if I'm not mistaken, he potentially is going to be out. He missed the last game in the whatever 4-3 game that Aston Villa had, a back injury apparently. So
it's probably
not sure if we're going to have that big personality there. By the way, when you guys were chatting, I was kind of looking up the goals conceded for Aston Villa because Charles asked if we had a game plan because he can't be accepting another L versus Aston Villa. His follow-up question was shits and giggles, of course. This wasn't too serious, but a follow-up question was, secondly, have you seen a shorter title race than Chelsea last night? We covered Chelsea extensively, Charles. I could 100% guarantee you that one. But I was okay. So first and foremost, I was shocked to see that they've conceded 14 goals. All right, that was a big one for me. The only bigger shocker than them conceding 14 goals is the fact that Manchester fucking City has conceded 16, and yet they're 5 points behind us. You understand how flippin' frustrating that is?
Yeah.
16, they've conceded over double the amount of goals that we had, and they've only 5 points behind us. That is absolutely absurd, to be completely honest with you guys.
Look at the goal differential, though, Mikey. Their goal differential is 16.
Haaland has scored
scored 15 goals for them. He scored 15. Holland has scored the same amount of goals as
really
Everton
15?
has all season, more than Forest, the same amount as Burnley, and double the amount that Wolves have scored. I mean, he's outscoring entire teams, and we're only.
I need him to have like an undisclosed Cole Palmer injury where like something falls in his foot and just take a month off.
What do we know? What happened to Cole Palmer? Did he like drop a bottle of moonshine on his foot, or did he have like STD or something? Moonshine. Like he was just gone for like a month and a half, and he didn't really say why.
No, and he just made a miraculous recovery to try to play for the Arsenal, but didn't apparently. But no, he just had an accident at home. They didn't really disclose it. It just reminds me of
it was something stupid.
Was it 2002? I'm going way back here. 2002 or 1998 Spain, in which
what the hell are you talking about?
Santiago Cañizares was going to be the goalkeeper for Spain. And this happened for Iker Casillas' career.
I swear to God, you remember things from 25 years ago better than you remember things from yesterday.
100%. 100%. I just thought it was an interesting story in which the main guy at Real Madrid, who I can't remember who it was, got injured. And then the backup got injured. And then as a third string goalkeeper, and here comes Iker Casillas. I think it was around when they won versus Leverkusen. Mm-hmm. Anyways, Cañizares was going to be the starting goalkeeper for Spain. But he drops a bottle of perfume on his foot, cuts it, and he misses the World Cup and enter, Iker Casillas, and the rest is history for his career. We know how that played out. So
whenever there's mystery injuries, so like here's another going deep into the bag. So the Minnesota Twins had a really stupid player named Marty Cordova, and apparently Marty was going out for like dinner or something, but his shirt wasn't. No, was it Marty? No, there's two different things. I can't remember which guys it was. It was Lou Ford and Marty Cordova were two like outfielders for the Twins in the 90s and 2000s. One guy had to go in the 15-day deal because he ironed his shirt when it was on his body and burned himself. And the other guy fell asleep in a tanning bed and got really sunburned and was out. Had to go on the 15-day DL for that. Those are two separate Twins players, Minnesota Twins baseball players, within like 5 to 7 years of each other. Both burned themselves to the point where they couldn't play baseball for weeks. One ironing a shirt was, I think Lou Ford had to iron his shirt when it was on his body. Marty Cordova fell asleep in a tanning bed, I think. Yeah, that's like Cole Palmer did something like that. Like he was like cutting his own hair and like accidentally cut his head. Because we all know, like, can we just admit that Cole Palmer's hairline is right here? Can we stop with this shit? Like, I don't know. That guy drives me nuts. He doesn't understand either.
They showed a picture of him recently. I wish I had it in StreamYard so I could bring it up. I can't find it fast enough, but I posted it where he's wearing like a stocking cap sort of halfway down his head, and it's sitting on his ears, so it's pushing his ears out even further than they already are. He looks like Santa's elf. Like I feel like he should be on the North Pole, like making like toys for kids. He's like in the middle of December when Christmas is 3 weeks away. You
just know he's like a 65 IQ guy that if you're talking to him for more than 2 minutes, you're like, oh, jeez, I got to get out of here, man. Like he's one of those people. A very, very good footballer. Looks like he has 2 brain cells keeping the lights on in his head.
But by the way, emergency. This is do you guys remember when Harry Kane made an emergency goalkeeper appearance in the Europa League? I think it was in 2014. I think Lloris got hurt and they had made all their subs, and so he comes in. He'd already scored a hat trick that game against some no-name team, and he like proceeds to let in a goal like right away. And I'm like, yeah, your career is not in goal, man. You're not Iker Casillas. He was like taking one for the team, stepped up as an outfield player, says I'll play goalkeeper, but not quite the ending that Iker Casillas had as a world-class goalkeeper, is it?
I wish he would have played goalkeeper instead of striker. Probably would have made our lives a lot easier.
Very true. Still didn't win shit, but whatever.
Dude, I'm dying right now. Alan reminded me that there was a footballer that actually drilled his own foot.
Who was that?
Darius Vassell.
Who the hell is that?
Yeah, I just like you said, Chris. I can't remember. Like who scored versus Brentford? I can't remember, Chris. But who drilled his own fucking foot? Well, let me tell you about that.
Do I know this?
Are we in the end game of the podcast right now?
No.
Yeah.
I feel like we're officially in the end.
You can't end it there. Darius Vassell drills his foot. End of the podcast. We're done.
No, clarification unnecessary. That's all we need now.
He played for Villa. This is actually an outstanding, like, maybe this is our our transition to talking about Villa really quickly. He played for Villa. He was a Villa player.
Totally in the plan. This transition.
Yeah, this is a great segue.
Great segue.
Apparently he was playing for Villa. He had a swollen toe, likely from a blood blister under his toenail, which made wearing boots worse. And so he was so frustrated, he decided to take matters into his own hands and with a drill to release the pressure. And instead of a simple release, the self-inflicted injury led to a painful infection, and he ended up missing 9 games while the wound healed. Good Lord.
What an imbecile.
He's got Cole Palmer intelligence.
Oh my
Holy
God.
cow.
I feel like Cole Palmer couldn't get out of a broom closet somewhere and they couldn't find him. That's where he was gone for so long. They had to nurse him back to health. What did he say? I feel like he did an interview, and it was one of those things where one of his replies was so just mind-numbing that they couldn't even move on to that point of the interview. He's somebody that's who's your favorite musician? He'd say Taylor Swift or something like that. Or what's your favorite movie? He'd say K-pop Demon Hunters. He's that type of person where he's just there's nothing about him at all.
Yeah,
the fact that
he said Jello.
I'm sorry that you know who K-pop Demon Hunters is.
I have 3 daughters under the age.
Yeah, I'm sorry because I know who they are, and I didn't know it was infecting the other people in my life.
So I apologize. I have top of mind right now.
So are we talking about Villa then, Mike? Are you ending the podcast on Darius Vassell?
I mean, if anything screams nap, it would be Darius Vassell ending. But if you want to take a quick moment, Chris, to imagine and tell your listener how you could envision us playing, setting up. Do you think Jokic gets a start, considering Merino's fitness level? Do you think Declan Rice gets a start, considering we're 90 minutes away from?
I think you're asking me who I would start at Villa, aren't you?
I'm asking who you would start at Villa. Yes.
The issue here is that we don't really know who's available. I think we make some smart, intelligent, educated guesses. I think we've talked about how we believe Saliba. I mean, Arteta said it in a press conference a couple of days ago. He's days away, so I'm going to take that as a good sign that he's fit to start. Trossard is also days away, which tells me that he is fit to start. Obviously, Raya starts in goal because he never doesn't. I mean, how many games has Kepa played this year? 1. He won't be at the club next season. But
the man's going to play 3 games for the Arsenal and win the League Cup.
No, he's going to play 3 games for Arsenal and not get enough appearances to win a league medal. And anyways. That sucks to be a backup keeper in that situation. I would play, as we talked about, Ben White at right back because I think while he looked knackered after 70 minutes, he doesn't have a lot of minutes on his legs this season. And I'm assuming that he can give us at least 60 to 70 minutes so we can let Timber have hopefully most of the game off. That guy has played so many minutes this season. And I think there's 2 guys in our team that I think are really tough to replace. I think Timber's one of them, although Ben White has played admirably recently. But I think over a long period of time, I think the delta shows, especially if you're trying to win big things this season. So I would start Ben White because I think we are good enough to win with Ben White. And as we talked about, I think we need an enforcer on the pitch in these away games where there's a tricky character like McGinn. I would start Saliba at right center back. I would start Hincapie at left center back. I know he's played a lot of minutes, but I think there are things we can do to get him off the pitch early. Maybe shifting Calafiori to left center back, playing Miles at left back if Hincapie needs a blow. I would start Calafiori at left back because I think he just offers us such an array of attacking flexibility and unpredictability, which I think is hard to plan for. I would go, this is where it's tough. Do you roll the dice on Declan Rice again? Because, again, I'm assuming that he just cramped. I'm assuming it's not an injury to his calf and that he's fit enough. If that's true,
I think that's been confirmed, by the way. To Sky Sport. It was Declan Rice himself that said he was fit.
Here's the thing. I've looked at where Aston Villa has been scoring their goals. They've been scoring a lot of goals from the edge of the box, like screamers, like quite lucky. They've outperformed their XG by a good margin, like a really good margin, which tells me that they're converting low quality chances. And I think what Rice does really well is defend at the edge of the box. And I don't know that I trust Norgard, unfortunately, because I think Norgard was brought in to spell Rice of minutes in games where we feel like we can. I just don't know that this is a game we can, at least for the first 60. So I would plan a sub for Declan maybe after 60. But I think we need his engine to disrupt that sort of dynamic of edge of the box shots that it seems like Villa loves right now. We cannot get beat on an edge of the box shot to Villa. We just can't. And I think Declan Rice will snuff a lot of that out. He's just very alive to that danger, and we need that, I think. So I'd start Declan as your box to box, Zubi at the base, and I would play. Oof. I guess I'd play Odegaard, but I don't know what we have in Odegaard. I mean, I want the Odegaard that stays high. I want Odegaard that does the final third stuff. I don't want the Odegaard who drops deep, because I think we have the solve for that now. We don't need him to drop deep and to progress the ball through the thirds anymore. I don't think we need that anymore, because we have Zubimendi, who is an elite passer. We've got Declan Rice, who's an elite carrier. And I think both those guys are doing a lot of what Odegaard has done in past seasons. So as long as he plays more of a 10 and less of an 8, I'm okay with that. On the right side, I think you got to play Saka. Again, big match. I think we need his talisman effect that I think he's given us in years past. He hasn't scored a ton of goals this year, but I like his chances again 1v1 against opposing fullbacks. Here's the thing with Merino. I think he's running out of puff, and I think he looked dead at the end of that match against Brentford. I think you'd probably give Gyökeres a start here, assuming he's fit. I'd love to play Merino. I just don't know if he's got the energy in him as a 28-year-old who's not used to playing at this sort of intensity. And I think we need runners, and I think we need pressers. And he's just not a great presser from the front. So I think I'd start Gyökeres. And then the left is the interesting thing. I love Trossard's X factor as well. He's got great end product that I think we could use. But I also feel like we're lacking carriers and guys on the ball that are good in tight spaces. And Trossard's not that guy. It's Eze. So I'm kind of 50-50 on whether it's Eze or Trossard, assuming Trossard's fit. I'd probably start Trossard just because of the end product, but it's hard to leave Eze on the bench. So that was, I don't know. What do you guys think about that position in particular? That's I think the toss up for me. I think Trossard's a more natural left winger, but I like the skill set that Eze brings us in this kind of match.
I think Trossard's going to come in the last 15, 20 minutes for fitness purposes, and they're going to continue. Most of the decisions that I go with the starting lineup is just fitness levels. Yep. That's why it came to me that Ben White could totally start this game, because he completed 90 without any physical, issues. He hadn't played very much prior to this, so he's far away from the red zone. So because of that, I think Saka starts. Madueke started midweek, but I think Martinelli is just fine and dandy to start the game. I know that the majority of us aren't really encouraged about Martinelli starting game versus being like a super sub type of situation. But 100%, I kind of view it like a little bit like a no-brainer that it's going to definitely be Martinelli on the left-hand side. Saka's going to come in. That's probably why they tried to give him midweek off. That's my best assumption. Just interesting stat before relating to goals prior to giving Kelly his opinion on how this starting 11 is going to look. Thought this was interesting stat. I don't say that very much, Chris. From Charles, 8 out of the 13 PL away goals have been headers, including 6 of their 9 on the road this season for the Arsenal. Meanwhile, 4 out of 6 home goals conceded for Aston Villa. So they're vulnerable at set pieces. We are notoriously kind of good at set pieces. I fully take on board that we're lacking one big giant Gabriel Magalhaes and his partner Saliba. But who knows? We have Ben White. He might, fuck around with the goalkeeper, another piss out of them, and maybe.
I mean Martinez, hopefully.
Yeah, I will say before passing the baton to Kelly, letting him have the final say on the starting lineup versus Villa, just because you mentioned Zubimendi and Abreu mentioned Zubimendi in the live comments. What if I can't remember the last time I underestimated players so much?
Yeah.
We've also spoke extensively about his stature coming into the league. He doesn't look like the biggest player.
Yeah.
And he's one of those players that he's just played game after game after game. And he I understand that maybe his position is not as demanding as other players, but he has continued to be cool, calm, and composed. And a lot of times he gets carded for being too rough, despite coming from Spain, where everybody was like, he's not going to be able to deal with the physicality of the league, and he's living up to the physicality of the league and then some. So props to that dude. He's been absolutely outstanding. Kelly, take the mic from me, sir. What your starting lineup look like?
Yep, I think it's going to be Raya goalkeeper, obviously, Calafiori left back. I think that because Gabriel is out, my guess is that that will be continue to be Hincapié there. I think Saliba will come in at right center back, and it's going to be a toss up again at either Ben White or Urian Timber. I think it comes down to physicality. The only reason that I maybe give the nod to Timber is that White would for sure be set to play in the Champions League midweek, and with Timber set to rest. But I think it depends on the physical recovery of both of those players. If they still think that Timber's in the red, but White is feeling great coming off of it, I wouldn't put it past him at all, since he had a really good match there midweek. I think for left wing, if Trossard is fit, he starts. I don't think Trossard is fit, so actually my joker in the pack here is, I think if Trossard is not fit to start, I think they'll play Nani Madueke at left wing for this match. Kind of going in, I think it'll be they'll trust Odegaard and keep Eze out for an extra week, which as a super sub either on the left wing or coming in for Odegaard. Right wing will be Saka, and then up top I think they're going to get another game out of Mikel Merino before they switch anything. That's my opinion. We're going to stay relatively unchanged to the extent that we're able. That's my guess anyway.
I feel like we're playing with fire when it comes to maybe because Declan Wright has more history of having an engine and all that, but
and Rice and Zubimendi,
with Merino, I saw him the last 10-15 minutes and I was like, please God, just I was almost always ready to pull him out of the Brentford game and just playing with 10 at the rate that he was looking like. So he just looked absolutely knackered. So
if it goes the way that my plan is, which is minimal rotation, I think that there will be, if that were the case, there will be 3 substitutions that are pre-planned between 55 and 65 minutes. I think if that happens, I think no matter what the game state is, there will be substitutions based on game state, whether we are trailing, leading, or drawing. But you can't. I don't think that we can go into that match and just being like, "Hey, fuck it, full 90s for everybody." I think that would be irresponsible.
Absolutely not. All right, fair enough, gentlemen. We're going to end the podcast there. Chris, you want to tell dear listener where they can find you fighting with every single Chelsea available?
Even when I know where they're from, I just can't help it, and I really should know better. I'm a grown-ass fan,
absolutely.
And I just should be like, nope. Well, and that's why today I put my account on private, because what that does is it tells me I did this for a reason. It stops me from arguing with stupid idiots who can't see what I'm saying anyway. So what's the point of arguing with somebody who can't hear what I'm saying? That's how dumb I am. West Suburban at AFC. Follow me if you want to see my inane ramblings now, because you won't be able to see them if you don't. And I think I've got it all out of my system now. I had an absolute blast just giving it to Chelsea fans, especially if they lost Leeds. Got it out of my system. I should be a lot more calm now, and hopefully we win this weekend so the good times can continue on, because we need to keep this good times rolling. We're 18 now, undefeated. And I think that's really good news for our title chances. The longer we can keep that going, I think the longer the belief holds that we can actually do this thing. So
does that make Bayern Munich is Bayern Munich and Arsenal like the most informed teams in all the whole of Europe then?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Fuck's sake, that's crazy.
Kelly, and we made them and we clowned them 3-1. So
yeah,
we made them look bad. Yes. I told your listener where they could find you, Kelly.
At South Metro AFC. Again, it's been some good bants. I like going and populating Invert the Wings thing. He's yes. my very favorite person to poke. If anybody wants to laugh, go to Invert the Wing because he trolls Arsenal fans and then complains when Arsenal fans make fun of him, and it's really funny to.
Sadly, he doesn't respond to you. I wish he would.
No, it's
so I hate to give him any credit, but he trolls at an elite level.
One of the best.
So recently what he does is like he'll know Saka hasn't scored in fucking whatever 5 games, right? And then he'll just put something because Arsenal supporters online know that he likes to troll people, like Arsenal specifically. He'll put 1 goal in 7 matches, could never be called world class. And there's like some random other winger that's also scored 1 goal in 7 matches. And he just replies to everybody like, why are you all assuming I'm talking about Saka? Like if he doesn't fucking live and breathe trolling Arsenal. Look, credit where credit is due. The man knows how to do his craft. What are you going to show, Chris?
He literally posted 19 hours ago. Congratulations, Arsenal fans. You have bullied me off this app for the time being. Classy bunch, but at least you got your way. I need some time to myself. And then he replies 10 hours later. I haven't even read the replies. Now I know what I'm going to do for the rest of the night. I'm going to be absolutely exhausted tomorroely. These replies are seriously not well. What have I done for this hate?
It's just deliberately trolling.
It's just absolutely elite trolling, and I choose to not be frustrated. I actually choose to admire that.
Yeah, there it is, right there, guys, right there.
He's making money doing absolutely fuck all, and I fall for it every time because it makes me feel a little bit better. But anyway,
136,000 followers. He's probably making like
99% of that is hate followers.
Oh my god, yes.
100% sure.
He's on my For You tab because every stupid thing he says, I say something childish back to him. Shouting into the void. He's not seeing or responding. It makes me feel a little bit better though, so it's okay. Anyway, yeah, Twitter can be fun. Let's win some more football matches, huh?
Hey,
no, I'm going to unblock this fool so I can actually see this because I had blocked him a while ago and I don't get to see it. And the only time I see it is when Kelly shares it with me. I've unblocked him.
Chris is going to be very tired.
He's an avatar for like all the dopey trolls out there. He doesn't actually think this. He's really, really good. He's like the Twitter text equivalent to somebody with a really punchable face. Like that's what it is.
But his profile is MSc in Sports Management and Business with a UEFA B coaching license, driven to tactical ideas, not tribalism and biases. Not affiliated with Thomas Frank. Oh my god!
Love him.
He had Andrews' profile picture for ages.
Thank you for the clarity that you're not. He's
got a PhD. He's got a PhD in trolling, is what he has.
He's amazing in all the wrong ways. Last little stat from Charles here. Good combo. Cheers, lads. 108 games without conceding 2 or more goals, beating United's record. So that's
wild.
Yeah, that was awesome. Love
My name is Mike Hers, your host for the night. Thank you so much for joining us. Live chat. You have been absolutely awesome. You already know you can find us on YouTube. Please tell a friend, comment, like, subscribe, all that jazz that I'm supposed to say. Audioheads, if anybody wants to rewatch this or re-listen to this, and not have to look at my ugly mug. Of course, we are available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Dear listeners, live chat. Till next time, peace.
Right foot this time, Martin Odegaard.
Zinchenko from Ketia, it's in, it's 4. Martinelli tiptoeing in. Predatory, perfect. There is a gorgeous arrogance about Arsenal now.
It really is. They are enjoying every second of this.